Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of an action film from Chile. This is spoken in the Spanish language English subs, released in the year 2012, directed by Ernesto Diaz Espinosa. And this movie is called Bring Me the Head of the Machine Gun Woman. So the story of this film, you've got this machine gun woman who is a very good assassin. No one knows who she is exactly or where she lives, but she comes out of nowhere and then she starts assassinating people, and she's very good at this. So this gets the attention of an Argentinian gangster, and this gangster wants the head of this woman because she proves a big threat. So one day he's talking to his henchmen inside this toilet, and they're talking about a 300 million peso reward for whoever captures her, dead or alive. So inside one of the cubicles in this toilet, while this conversation is taking place, is a DJ. Now this DJ is a bit of a coward, but he sees this as an opportunity to get some easy money. So when the gangsters notice he's in there, to cover himself, he says, okay, I'll do this for you with the promise of the money. So they say, okay, well, they don't really have any belief in this guy because he just seems very much out of his depth, but they see it as no problem that he can do it for them. So he embarks on this mission to track down this assassin, and whether or not he can do that, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Bring Me the Head of the Machine Gun Woman. This movie, by the title, was very interesting, and this is what they call a Latin exploitation film. So it's a kind of like an exploitation film set in Latin America, and for that I was really excited, because you guys know I love Latin American cinema, and I also really like the grindhouse throwbacks, such as Planet Terror, Death Proof, A Hobo with a Shotgun, all those types of movies that are throwbacks, that are a lot of fun. They're caricature characters, so although you don't care about them, you just have a lot of fun. They're just larger than life, and it's just a very provocative, bloodshed sort of films, and I really enjoyed those said movies. So coming into this one, I had high expectations, but unfortunately this movie tries to be something that it isn't, and I actually thought that it was trying to be a little bit too serious for its own good. Now to start off with, I will go through the positives. The movie does have a very good looking main character of this machine gun woman. She is mysterious, but the best thing about her is that she looks very good on screen, so a lot of people are going to like this character, and I thought that some of the visuals were fairly decent. You've got some, very grindhouse style of visuals in the film, which is what you would expect from this. And then you've also got references to GTA, the video game Grand Theft Auto. I really liked that approach to it, and I thought it gave it a little bit of charm. And so for video game lovers, you're going to get something out of this movie too, because it does look pretty decent. But unfortunately for me, the positives are very minimal when you're comparing them to the negatives. Now to start off with, it wants to be a grindhouse throwback, but unfortunately the consistencies in the visuals are not good enough. On one stage you've got a grindhouse movie style of film, and then in another scene it feels like you're just watching a really low budget action film, so it kind of loses that sort of grindhouse feel, and you forget and you don't know exactly what this movie wants to be. So it feels like it's a movie made by a fanboy of grindhouse cinema, and he just doesn't know exactly how to just maintain that grindhouse feel. And it goes over to the characters as well. Some of the characters are larger than life, but other characters are just normal characters, and it doesn't feel like you're in a proper grindhouse world. So it's just inconsistencies in the visuals, you've got inconsistencies in the characters, and it just all adds up to a very disappointing experience, I have to say. If I'm being brutally honest, I thought this movie was going to be a lot better than it actually was. Thought the violence was stylized, but unfortunately there was a lot of CGI in the film, so once again, it's just that low budget approach comes through, and it does dampen the effect of the movie quite considerably. I thought the characters, as I said, just weren't that likeable, and they weren't that interesting. The whole story wasn't that interesting. This DJ tracking down this machine gun woman, it could have been very interesting and it could have been very entertaining, but the movie goes through a lull, and it actually feels very boring, and you can notice the time is dragging, and for a 73-minute film, that is not a good sign. So it actually felt like this director ran out of ideas way too quickly, and I just thought in some instances it looked really bad. And there were rare glimpses of, throwback into grindhouse. So for a Latin exploitation film, I don't actually feel that this movie quite understood what exactly exploitation was. It is nowhere near the more recent films that have come out. So if you see this movie on trailer and you think to yourself, this is going to be awesome, unfortunately it does not deliver as much as I wanted it to. The end of the film was very forgettable, and by the end of the film I was just glad that it was over. So unfortunately this movie does not come recommended. I'm only going to give it 1 star. 1 star is being very generous, but as I said, the lead actress is very good to look at, and there are moments of some pretty good grindhouse effects, but unfortunately the consistency of this film lets it down, and it will be a big disappointment to many people out there. So unfortunately this movie is not coming recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching movies, and I'll see you later.